World of Orders and Monsters. Here people can unlock the potential of the soul to awaken different kinds of special powers. They are strong enough to kill demons and destroy everything. The awakening of the human race is called awakening by physical strength. One night, amidst the pouring rain and lightning on various skyscrapers, some screens reported a male manager hearse and killing Danio. Then we see a shirtless blue-haired man in a trash can who screams that this world is too crazy. The man who just woke up in the trash was Lin. He admits that his hair may be dirty, but his friend, the other man who crossed into another world, was invincible. At the beginning of the game he was different. He was just an ordinary person with no talent, and suddenly the garbage tries to kill him and throws him here and there, but he did not expect that he would cross the world in such a shameful way. He was determined that if he found the killer he would definitely kill him. Highway, the lazy man's friend, heard some sound. He saw a man peeing on the wall. Noticing Lin's presence, the man broke his neck and rushed to the line with a terrifying look. Lin Xiao immediately got scared when he saw his terrifying face. The man also rushed at Dan Lazy and was about to pounce on him. Then the monster opened his mouth and invited the Dai Xiao to enter his mouth. The lazy man was scared and screamed for help. Immediately after that, large scissors were thrown which cut the neck of the monster. The lazy man was shocked to see what just happened. The dead master then turned into after the woman took the scissors back. The beautiful woman came and greeted the rescue. Lina Lincio was grateful to her. Then the woman approached the lazy people and asked if she was beautiful. Without thinking, confused, I answered that she was better. Why did the woman show her monstrous figure and asked he still thinks she is beautiful. The lazy person was shocked to see, but he thought she was beautiful. He who came to save him, he even almost fell in love with the woman with tears in her eyes. Then she pressed herself against the lazy man and asked him to quickly answer her, and then even licked a line on her cheek, although he felt that he was in danger. The one who was hit by the woman with the cut Tom felt that this was amazing, but life at the moment, that's all that matters. If he said she was beautiful then she would cut his mouth, and if he said she wasn't attractive he was sure that this woman would kill him right away. He was so confused how to choose an option, because the lazy man did not answer. The woman with tears in her eyes again called for the scissors and intended to catch the lazy man to speak. The lazy man thought that it was all over and begged someone to save him. Soon after the system appeared and discovered that the owner was in danger. The divine system finally connected. The lazy man did not understand what happens because time stopped and he couldn't go see with his body. Then 3 choices appear in front of him and he has a time limit of 5 seconds. The first choice is to run away, but he will be chased by a woman with tears in her eyes. Reward for the mission: reinforcement pills. Option 2, stand on, kneel and beg for mercy, the woman with tears in her eyes, so that she will once again feel sorry for us. The rewards for the mission were a cleansing pill. Option 3, kiss a beautiful woman. The reward for the mission is a package with supernatural abilities of the SSS rank. Considering the options in front of him, Yan Xiao thought that it might just be a legendary video reward system. For the third choice, lazy man thoughtlessly chose the third option. He also grabbed the woman with tears in her eyes by the shoulder and pulled her towards him to kiss her. The woman with tears in her eyes who was kissed didn't do it. She doesn't understand why Valencio is doing this to her. Kiss. Lazy man finally ended. The woman with her mouth torn also said that she was no longer unclean. After seeing the expression on the Linxia woman's face, he didn't expect her to be so cute. Now he realized that when he met the monster woman in her, the woman separated from the lazy one and was about to leave, but before she left she introduced herself as Hunyang and said that she would return. Hunyang finally left, disappeared from view. A moment later the system confirmed that Leng Xiao had completed the mission and the SSS rank supernatural power would be selected randomly. Therefore, to receive the reward, the system asked Lazio to repeat the draw spell, striking darkness lightning. Lazio also asked who would shout out such awkward dialogues but decided to forget about it because he had just kissed a stranger but was still with full confidence. Afraid of embarrassment, Lincio cast his spell. Soon after that the creature appeared in the sky and lightning flashed in the tape. Was shocked by lightning and screamed in pain. The people who were nearby this place also witnessed incidents. One of them in high heels found out that it was a heavenly thunderstorm. The woman did not expect that anyone would awaken the special power of a rank with or above, because on Lang there was only one person who surpassed the class. She was wondering who this person was, but she suspected that it might be a descendant of this person. After the creature disappeared into thin air, the finally stopped being hit by lightning. The system congratulated Ling Xiao on receiving an SS class ability. Chui system explains that the host's power is very weak, so the SS Chui class ability can complement the host's power and can open other blocked one's parts. Based on the memories of this case, Laserbones remembered that the general limit of the power of this world was the S class. He managed to awaken the USSR class, was excited because he was going to become invincible. Laserbones laughed, because he was so inspired by the power of this SSS rank that he was sure that in a short time he will become a big player and will rise to the top of life. He can't wait to easily waste his life. However, the system suddenly reported that this is not so. It discovered a large horde of ghosts and monsters around the owner and was lazy to evacuate as soon as possible. Feeling bad breath, Lin Xiao began to run away because he didn't have the strength to fight them. Ling Xiao drove for half an hour and finally found his way home after seeing his house. He didn't expect that his house was so luxurious. He was a little nervous because it was the first time he entered such a big house. When he opened the doors of his house, he saw that his sister waiting for him. He asked why his sister came home so late. Lin Xiao was surprised because he almost forgot that he had a sweet sister named Lin. She saw her brother covered in bruises. Worried Alan, she asked what happened to him. He said that it was raining and the road was a little slippery, so he accidentally slipped. The Len said that she made ginger juice and asked him to drink. Lindsay couldn't be happy because he had such a good little sister. As far as Lindsay remembered him, adopted by a family when he was still a baby. After the death of his adoptive parents, he lived with his sisters Ling Huang and Lingxi. They are both talented and blessed by God. Alan Xiao is the only loser who is always insulted by everyone. 3 years ago, Linghua was chosen to join the family of the Special Division, and for her excellent qualifications, due to a busy schedule, he came home. So Len Xiao was the one who had to take care to Masha's sister. But the original owner of this body was very stubborn and could not even take care of his own body and was indifferent to his sister while drinking soft lazy thought that the owner of this body did not know how to be grateful. Soon after, someone shouted to Ling Xiao and told Lin Xiao to come out, forced Xiao to spit out. He was so crushed that he almost suffocated to death. The one who screamed broke in was the girl. According to his memories, this girl was Tsun Yao, his childhood friend, and she also appeared already in the magazine. She also asked who Jijua is and what she is doing here. The younger sister then scolded the lazy person because this morning he confessed his love to her in front of the class through the thunder speaker because she felt a terrible smell. She demanded that Ling Xiao give her an answer. After hearing this, Lin Xiao also remembered this after he confessed his love to her. To you killed him near the school. He wondered if these two incidents could be related, but now the most important thing to take care of. Since then he told her that he was just joking because he did not dare to confess to her out of fear because he understands that Sunio could finish him off at any moment. Hearing what the younger one was irritated by and hit Lazio Xiao, but Lazio returned from her blow. Sam's underwear looks very happy when she saw him. She scolded Lin Xiao and called him a pervert for keeping an eye on her. Xiao said that he did not intend to do this and asked if does the younger one feel guilty after making such an innocent child like her see Chu Yao like this. He feels disgusted, intending to beat him up. Lin Xiao watches her tongue, but Ling Shi arrived to clean up Ling Xiao and asked Chuya to stay away from his brother, not wanting to talk to the Chu Yao child. Stopped her. Then she warned the lazy man that tomorrow at school there will be a day of testing special abilities. Only those who can awaken cancer with or higher can enter Changlan Academy, and she said that she will awaken the power of the rank He, so she will be sent B. At that time Chunya, he believed that in of this life, flying will not be able to follow in her footsteps. So she suggested that the lazy man enter a third-level university and become an ordinary person at the bottom of society. Having heard this, he thought that he had awakened a special power of the rank of the USSR. He cannot be an ordinary person. Soon after this, a task appears from the system for him. Had to choose between two options: to apologize to Chil and agree with her, and also give do not recognize your strength. Although the prize of the second choice was much more profitable, Lin Xiao refused it. He decided to choose the third option. He also told Chui that he would not only continue to walk along do on his way but will also enter the Changlan Academy with his strength. After he said that, Ling Xiao felt that it was cool for him to hear Lin Xiao's statement. Chuya Wu just laughed and said that everyone can boast of a lazy person who saw Chuya leaving said that Yao will regret it sooner or later. Lin also supported Alan Xiao about this and said that he should be able to awaken the spiritual power in the middle of the night while the lazy man was sleeping in a deep sleep. Kan Yao finally managed to find the lazy man. She also demanded that the lazy man be responsible for taking her first kiss for the rest of his life. The lazy man panicked because he was late, seeing that his brother was leaving. Good luck to his brother. Lynch believed that her brother was better and would not let her sister down. The lazy man who ran in a hurry was exhausted and it seemed that his kidneys were about to die, but only last night he dreamed of sleeping with .. He felt strange because it seemed that this really happening. Lindsay he finally arrived Wednesday was very glad. Conference room. Choyao wondered why no one took their seats. A moment later a notice appeared asking examinees to line up to issue the exam. Seeing the students line up, that Yao said that they were the worst of the other sessions from the side of the lazy man squinted at the crowd and asked the man in front of him if this was an evacuation place. This man got angry and told the lazy man to shut up, but he was shocked because the person he saw was supposed to die, so he asked what Ling Xiao was doing here. According to his memories, his name was Mi, and because I loved Chu Yao they were both enemies. So Li Xiao suspects that it was Yen who sent someone to kill him and decides not to let him go. The test for spiritual abilities has finally begun. The examiner explains that this exam determines their future and only students with rank Shi or above have a chance to enter Changla Academy. Then he called the first participant named Xiao. He was nervous because he was the first one who was first allowed to test his abilities. He also stocked up when he discovered that his ability, this frying pan, is rank F. Many other participants also failed. For example, got the ability of chopsticks for food or toilet paper. The other participants who witnessed this laughed at them. A moment later, it was finally Yang's turn, and after studying his abilities, it was discovered that his ability was a special wound. Chiana's wolf ghost did not expect that Yang would be able to increase his strength to such an extent and awaken great ability. Next it was Lazyman's turn to attract attention. Sensing Lazyman confidently walked towards his testing ground, other students laughed at Lin Xiao for his courage. Even those who bet that he would eat dog excrement if Lazyman awakened his power. The young man was sure that Lazyman would only embarrass himself. Video of everyone laughing at Lin Xiao when they saw him. I was sure it must be because he was too handsome, so he bowed his head at the examiner. Told Len Xiao that his pants were unbuttoned, which made him feel awkward. In an awkward green Xiao touched crystal ball. Everyone present was amazed by Lin Xia, who considered himself the greatest, boasted. Although the screen behind him showed that he had a FF rating. The expert also noted that Lazy's abilities were turned off or were not detected. Lin Xia was clueless about what happened. The other students laughed at the retirement who came to humiliate him. Yang and who witnessed this laughed and said that this is a suitable choice for a person without abilities. Len Xiao did not understand and was sure that something had gone wrong, but suddenly someone appeared behind him. He realized that it was him and the ghost woman she said that is here to help him. A moment later people noticed on the screen the rising potential. The examiner was shocked to see this. His last dimension was a universal rank. That Yao who witnessed this thought that it was not bad, and Yang did not understand how it could be in the end. Although the power of the lazy was an FPF rank, he had the potential of class S. Therefore, the examiners decided that Ling Xiao passed the exam. He was lazy and was also pleased with this result. 10 minutes after waiting for the second exam, Yang approached Ling Xiao and said that he was trash. Even though he had such a high potential. For what? A lazy person laughed and asked, is he jealous of his potential? And I stuffed myself and grabbed him by the collar. He challenged the lazy guy to fight him immediately. After I challenged him, the system offered 3 options: put on a calm expression full of confidence, then ignore Ian or follow Ian's suggestion, ask for a meeting with Yang, and solve the dissatisfaction of true love without thinking. The lazy man chose the second option and clearly hit him in the face. Since everyone knew who asked for a fight, Lin Xiao was not at all afraid of Yang, and was that even his father never hit him. Soon someone stopped them. Fight. The woman who stopped fighting, she says that the second level exam is almost starting soon, so she asked the student who passed by the ability of awakening. Seeing the snake symbol on the sleeve of his jacket, Laziness Siava was sure that the woman was from Changlan Academy, and on the way to the second exam the previous woman introduced herself as Sujin, first-year student of Changlan Academy. And their examiner she says that the second level of the practical exam is very important for those who passed because they can immediately enter Changlan Academy and become official students of the lazy guy who lustfully looked at Sujan's body, lustfully thought that Su Jiang's body was stable, but Sujan caught him making him look at Lin Xiao as if he saw something very disgusting there. Suddenly the bus driver was surprised, because a bunch of bats flew out of the tunnels. Then the bats hit the windshield of the bus. As a result, the bus driver panicked and lost his balance in the bus. Lindsay hit head for this and then got off the bus and asked why they could roll over when they saw the bats attacking them. The lazy guy didn't understand where these countries' bats came from, but when he saw Sujan's reaction to the question of what was going on, the lazy guy thought that Su Jan didn't know anything. Sujan then asked him, to everyone who wants to get rid of these monsters, we watch how they begin to fight. He felt that something was wrong in the middle of this chaos. Yang sees an opportunity to finish off, or it is impossible, not far from them. One bat shot to attack them. The young one caught it and threw it in the tape, but the lazy one repulsed it. The young Yang tore it apart, the mouse, to pieces and said that he would not let Lin Xiao go soon enough. Sujan finished off the rest of the bats and they finally won. I immediately changed my attitude and said that he had just warmed up. A moment later there was an earthquake. Sudden winters threw the chains and tied everyone up. The captured student screamed about help because she couldn't hold back. Soon someone came riding a motorcycle. Lin Xiao felt an extremely strong ghost sent by a man. Then the man got off the motorcycle and was happy because one of the victims looked good. He walked up to the girl and asked her to play a game with the tongue. Seeing how his woman is being touched by a man, one of the students shouted to him not to touch his woman. The man approached the student and intended to play with her, but Surzan broke and grabbed her chain and told the man to stop. Lazy asked the servants to free him, but Sujan ignored him and ran straight to the man. However, the man easily beat Sujan with his chain. Sujan was sent to Lin Xiao's side after capturing. Sujan could not be excited as this was his chance to prove himself as a hero. Immediately after this, the system gave 3 choices. The first choice, to take with him and then run away from this incident. The second option, kneel down and ask the Linche demon to release. The third option, to kill the Linche demon and save everyone. Of course, the lazy man chose the third option and confidently told them to leave it all to him and jumped on the Lincho. They believed that the Lincho was a ghostly beast Barenka, so they were not sure whether the lazy man could defeat him with lazy fists. Tried to defeat Lincho, but as everyone expected, Lincho easily defeated Linzeal with his chain, making everyone stunned by the stupidity of Len Xiao and wondered what he was doing. How he was blown away. Lin Xiao could see Hunio in front of him. Hun Yam, who understood the problem, told him that he needed to concentrate and gather the spiritual power in his body and channel it into his right hand. Realizing what he needed to do, he felt happy that Hongyang was here. Incha was too close, so Linchin misunderstood and tried to kiss the dick. Scolded him and took the form of a monster and then told the lazy guy to hurry up and fight. The lazy man was very surprised that the was able to change so quickly. Before Linzeal finally came to his senses, the other students shouted Linzeal and asked him to let go of the lazy. Xiao stood up again and intended to be serious, but the other students didn't believe him at all. Lincho became interested and attacked Ling Xiao with his chain. Sujin was worried about Lin Xiao and Yang was sure that Len Xiao would die this time, but the lazy man was able to easily catch the Lincho. Was shocked by the consequences of the lazy people, then pulled the hook. He intended to put an end to all this and hit the fly on a stone. Those who were watching wondered why the lazy man suddenly became a strong. Lincho got to his feet and became even more excited because Zhao's laziness was able to harm him. He got on his motorcycle and was about to crash into Lente, barely managed to dodge Lynch, then rushed, but Sujin was able to overcome and was annoyed by Sujin, but suddenly felt something behind him. Really sat on his motorcycle and hugged him. Using the opportunity, Sujin hit the motorcycle Linche and attacked him. It was huge. The strength of her body was almost exhausted. Lincho, who felt cornered, instead of fighting to the death, he decided to die with them. Realizing what Lincho was trying to do, Sanchon pushed the deer Xiao. Save him. Lin Xiao was worried and Sujin had witnessed a huge explosion. The other students were worried because the laziness of the gray Sujin was still inside. A moment later, from the smoke caused by the explosion, Len Xiao came out carrying Sujin in his arms because Sujin had a chest pain. Lenso of course volunteered to give her a massage. Jan refused and called lazy a pervert. Soon after, the students began to surround the lazy guy and praise him for being so strong. Young Yen didn't understand where Lin Xiao got all this power. Among all this, the vitamin system that lazy guy received a fragment of supernatural power as a reward for the task was happy because he was able to slowly unlock the power of his supernatural abilities, but he thinks that he should stay humble just because he wants to be a cool guy in the future. Right after that, the other students noticed something flying towards them. The drone announced that this is the end of the second level practical exam. The others thought that the attack was deliberate. Then the drone reports that the second level test is actually a practice exam with unexpected events, and their results were all recorded by a nearby camera, so the students who showed their best abilities will become students of Chanlan Academy. Surzan is angry with them because no one said to her in advance. Although she tested them, they also told that the academy is doing this for the antiquity exam. Drone then announces that the best candidate in this exam was Lin Xiao. The lazy man naturally behaved arrogantly. Because of this, the other students picked him up and threw him in the air to give credit to Sujin, who witnessed this thought that Lin Xiao had an unusual potential open in his body. And lazy Sudson believed that I would Kimi Chan Glin will undergo big changes. Lin Xiao finally returned home and greeted him and asked if Lazy passed the test. Stroking the head of his little sister, Linzia told her that he passed the exam successfully. Lin Che was happy about this, but she was a little sad that Lin Xiao would have to leave home and stay at school. I guess her brother was tired. Lindsay told Lin Xiao to rest while she prepared dinner and reminded him that he passed the exam. Xiao informed Ling Hua about this good news. Lin Xiao also thanked Lin. As soon as he arrived his room, the lazy man immediately contacted Ling Hua and told her that he had passed the exam. Ling Hua also praised him, but since she had other things to do, ended the conversation. Ling Hua said that he should go first. Lindia then lay down on the bed. He thought about what Ling Hua is really a mysterious person, and he didn't know when he would soon be able to meet her in person. Felt that his head was very heavy and thought that Hong I was at, and of course Hunya arrived and asked if Ling Xiao missed him. Hunya then said that he needed Ling Xiao. He could have taught the tape to improve his strength, but he asked lazy guy to promise him one thing. Then lazy guy asked, what is that seductive face? Hunya asked Alan Xiao to marry her in the underworld. She told him that he and lazy guy were going to sign a soul contract for marriage in the underworld, but the lazy guy didn't understand because he was a human, so he didn't know how he could marry a piece of __. She didn't care. Yana said that she couldn't wait any longer and then directly fulfilled it. The lazy man's blood contract also screamed in pain. A moment later the blood binding was completed. Lin Xiao felt that he had a headache 10 years ago. God the devil came into the world and the blood was taken from the same man. The torment was defeated and 10 years later he was reborn in the world. Lazio, who witnessed this, it must be a memory of a past life. Despite finally coming, Aline tried to wake up Lazy to quickly have breakfast. She was a little worried because Ling Xiao wasn't there yesterday. He slept very well, so I don't eat. Didn't have the courage to be Ling Xiao. Lin Xiao finally woke up, but he was curious why Hong Yang disappeared again. And he wondered if the newlyweds should have a bachelorette party. Besides that, he was curious what happened to Hyuni before he decided that if in the future he had the opportunity he would ask her. When he remembered that today was the first day at his academy and broke up Lindsay when Lin Xia was about to get on the bus and go to the academy. Lindsay said that she didn't want to. Her brother was leaving her. Lazy said that it didn't mean that he wouldn't come back, so during the trip later he promised to contact the money. He was surprised that Lin Sim suddenly became so spoiled. Unfortunately, he didn't know the conditions at the Chin Ai Academy, so he still couldn't take with Lin Xiao. Patted Lindsay on the head and assured Lindsay that she was starting to worry because he would come back to see her. It was too late. The bus driver told Lindsay to quickly get on the bus when he saw that his sister was waving her hand, getting ready to eat. Lensha also waved his hand. I thought that Len Xiao was not needed to visit him because he would go to visit him alone at the Changla Lazy Academy. Was impressed because this academy looked luxurious, and most importantly there are many beautiful women in this place. However, he thought that the beauty could be seen again later. His main priority now was to inform the reception to him. Was so curious that would be his lobby teacher. Someone slammed the table and said that he didn't care and he was the best among all the other. Teacher who heard this got angry and Asked what makes him be so confident. Then they asked the teacher if she thinks what she can do anything with her big breasts. The teacher objected and said that anyone who has breasts can say whatever he wants. Not far from them, people noticed the existence of Lindsay, acted cool and asked if they needed everything. The teachers were excited and intended to get Ling Xiao. They all persuaded the lazy man with good teaching pills or told him that in the class there were many female trainers. The lazy man had problems because they neutralized each other and forced the lazy man. Not only this, there are even teachers who tried to sabotage each other to such an extent that it forced them to fight. The lazy man who witnessed this thought that this academy was a string. A moment later someone came up and called him. He introduced himself as Teacher Entanglement and invited the lazy one to come to his class. Other teachers who noticed Entanglements told the lazy one to stay away from him, but Entanglement said not to listen to those who were just a bunch of old cockroaches. Seeing the lazy guy who was completely fascinated by her, Entanglement showed her cleavage and told him because he was lazy everything was read by her teacher. Yes, she will let the lazy guy sleep in the best dormitory and will this give him an advantage with a nosebleed. Watching this, but the rest of the mentors still didn't want to lose and they told Ten Glinka stop talking nonsense, but the lazy man had already bowed his head and begged Glinka to become his teacher. Talon then kissed the lazy man on the low and told the lazy man not to disappoint her because if the lazy man embarrassed her, the distant one threatened that she would ruin his whole life. The lazy man who witnessed the formidable side of the distance trembled with fear when he saw that the lazy man had found a teacher. The lazy man was annoyed. Lin Xiao finally arrived his dormitory. The environment in this place was really good. He couldn't believe it. If you live here in a separate dormitory looking at the lawn, lazy Xiao thought that it would be great if here there were beauties. While he was resting, suddenly someone waved his hand and called Lin Xiao. She pointed at him like Sinchan and said that he was older, who would be in charge of training. Lazio came to the yard of Sinchan to shake his hand and ask for advice, but now he laughed and said that it's not necessary to be like that and suggested calling him fat instead, and then hugged the lazy man by the shoulder and asked if Mentor Tang Ling was always evil. He also answered that she was very fierce, like a weapon that killed the earth. Then he asked if he was promised the same special benefits in the future. Fox answered in the affirmative and asked if something was wrong. Linzo Shansha I immediately looked irritated, but he told him that he was also deceived in this way, so he felt obliged to tell Talia that she had deceived him. Lazy still didn't understand what he meant and thought that Talia could have some kind of conspiracy against. Then says that she will not lie to him and tells the mentor Tomlin then I have a different name. Apparently he didn't want to talk more, but he told him that there was a special advantage that was promised or really frightening. There is such a big chance you can't even not get it from, because Xianzin warned him to be careful so that Talia did not play with him. The lazy man was also surprised to hear this. But in the depths of his soul, the lazy man was actually looking forward to this. After listening to the word Shanchi, the lazy man was convinced that Sanchana should not worry, and finally left and said lazy man take care of himself elsewhere. Young and told his grandfather and Linzeal did something happen today. He said that lazy man was always against him and also made him look funny. Because of this he asked his grandfather to help him. His grandfather also said I and not worry and promised I'll help him take care. Too lazy at this time lazy relaxed Vanya. He didn't think that every dormitory had a special bath, but suddenly someone from behind patted Len Xiao on the shoulder. Len Xiao was surprised when he saw Hunya Tora suddenly appeared behind him and asked why he always escapes the __. Also said that she actually lived in the spiritual world of Lin Xiao. How Lin Xiao looked embarrassed. Hunya explained that the spiritual world is a space created by a soul that has a fighting aura called spiritual power, and she also said that the spiritual world of Lazio is very huge and hides a lot of spiritual power, but it was a pity that the average level lazy man was very large. Linzeal was too weak to fully use his power. The lazy man also realized that Hong Yen signed a marriage contract with him and stayed in his spirit world because the spiritual power of Hongya stroked Ling Xiao. She replied that it was true that his spiritual world was spoiled, and he could not accumulate much spiritual power on his own in the form of a soul. Therefore, after many battles, He needed to restore his spiritual power with her best choice after hearing that the lazy man was also invited by Huanyan to the wedding shower, and he wanted to channel his spiritual power on Honya, but suddenly someone knocked on his door. Lazy guy got angry and opened the door but didn't see anyone and thought that someone was playing a prank on him. Suddenly something jumped from a tree and passed the lazy guy into the house, chasing the intruder. The lazy guy also found a yellow-skinned ferret. Yellow the weasel did not expect that the lazy man could dodge her attack. In addition, she also asked if he looked like a human or a fairy. The lazy man thought that he might be a legendary fox, but this yellow weasel in front of him had already become a soul, so he wondered how he could find someone for Tulian. Think that the lazy one was caught up in his question. The yellow weasel attacked the lazy one, but he was stopped by the scissors. Huni the lazy one was annoyed that the yellow crawler was playing a dishonest game. The __ was going to kill the yellow weasel, but Ling Xiao stopped her horse. Was so happy because she was called Miss and asked what happened. Devilish Face said that they should seal it as food. After hearing this, even the yellow weasel on foot after the yellow weasel was tied up like a masochist and didn't ask. You can only eat this yellow weasel. The yellow weasel shouted at them for trying to sit down. After hearing what the yellow weasel called feeling cute, they felt bad in the stomach. Using his crooked face, he threatened that if he didn't want to become food, then he would tell why he attacked him. The yellow weasel refused and would rather die than give up. Linzian also asked Tonio to cook the yellow weasel. When he heard this, the yellow weasel immediately panicked and said what it was. Yang Guan sent him to the rescue of Laziness Xiao. Hearing the word of the young Guan, Laziness Xiao recognized him as the girl of the youth of the senior elder of the Chanlan Academy, since they intended to kill him. He thought that in the future he should be more careful. A moment later, 3 options appear. You see the task system. First, VPR free the yellow, remove the skin of the weasel and tell the little animal how to get out. The second option is to kill the yellow weasel, then give it to the enemy. And the third option is to pretend to be a cook and cook the yellow weasel. Having seen the options, the lazy man thought that the reward for the first option was the best. But if you let go of the yellow weasel, this will also have consequences. However, he had an idea and he thought that maybe he could do it. He chooses to let the weasel leave right now. Soon the system notified that Linchio completed the mission and received a reward, a pill for cleansing the bone marrow, which was stored in the system storage of the lazy man. Was satisfied and thought that we are no longer need to be so kind. Yellow weasel was currently touched because soon she will come out of this devil's cave, but the lazy man suddenly asked where the yellow mangoes went. Behind him, the yellow weasel trembled with fear when he realized that the lazy man had kept his promise. The lazy man said that he would release the yellow weasel, but it made sense for him to bring her back. And outside the dorm building, loud screams were heard. Yellow weasels. The yellow weasel finally lost consciousness from fright after seeing the yellow weasel. Hunya asked if the lazy person was going to eat it, but it seems the lazy person had another idea. The next day, the yellow weasel woke up like a dog. Scammer. She was shocked because she did not believe that she would be treated like a dog. Experiencing deep suffering, yellow weasel could only cry and scream for help to someone. In the morning, Lazy woke up from a deep sleep. Passed at night after taking a bone marrow pill. His whole body was in a fever and he was in a coma. He thought that the Hunya seemed to be hugging and guarding him all night. He also thinks that having a wife is not bad, and not to mention that he has the right to touch his wife. However, the Hunya woke up from her sleep. Lindsay, he immediately removed his hands and asked what. Having seen Linxia, Hunya also noticed that the lazy man had become stronger and praised him that now he had become more handsome. Hearing the praise of the lazy man, he immediately felt happy and began to pose in front of the mirror. But although Hunya didn't know where laziness came from, the pill that the lazy man took last night, she warned the lazy man so that he wasn't worried, but he was told that the energy level of the bone marrow cleansing pill that the lazy guy took was extremely high, but with Zhao's current physical condition, he wouldn't be able to completely absorb her, could help counter the healing power so that the lazy guy wouldn't suffer too much to fully absorb the energy of the pill for cleansing to the brain. Len Xiao had to sharpen his muscles and bones. Listening to Hong Yao's explanation, the lazy man also suggested double training to gain strength together. However, the __ turned her head and asked who she was. For Lin Zeal in his eyes, the lazy man replied that Hong Yan was his milk tea and said that he wants to hug the dick in his heart every day. There was no other choice. The dick said how to quickly strengthen the muscles and bones while continuing to use external force to hit the body. In short, the opening ceremony had almost begun, and seeing the new students gathered at that time on the field, the lazy man wondered maybe did he rely on methods beating Hunya nearby. Sinchan greeted Lin Xiao and asked why she looked so unhappy. The lazy man replied that he was not unhappy, he was just a little annoyed by the fact that he was too handsome. While the laziness went away, the other students looked at him. Lin Xiao praised him for what he is handsome, one of them even offered him milk. Lazy also thanked and refused because he had already eaten. He felt very happy because he had many fans, but he thought that he needed to continue to rise to a level by God which they could not reach. Then he went up to Kong Lina and greeted her. Tinglin also introduced Len Xiao to the senior class of Linxiang, Mergen, Senyong and Hoffman. In addition, there was also Sujin, who used to be an examiner for the new students. Sujin scolded Lin Xiao for being late on the first day of school. When she saw Honglen Xiao also, he said that only a few days had passed, but Sujin's body had become more toned. Sujin got angry and tried to beat up the lazy man, but the lazy man was able to easily return from Sujin's attack. Sujin was very angry because none of him hit the lazy man. That there is a way to get rid of the deceiver. Lazy man who constantly avoided suddenly came across someone's breast, which he just came across. The praised because it turned out. Moreover, further checked the lazy man's information, but he didn't think that the father of the lazy man was. When he heard this name he was shocked because Lazy was the son of his idol. They all knew that Lin Yuan was once the strongest in the spiritual medium. Grief is very smooth. They didn't expect that Lazy was actually happening in the families of influential people, but Len himself didn't think that many people knew his adoptive father. On the contrary, Sun only had vague memories. Watching Ling Xiao realized that the lazy man had become stronger than before. He was curious what Tanji sorceress and the 7th grade did to make the lazy man improve so quickly compared to the others. Chong Yi was very annoyed that the grandfather had already sent the yellow soul. She was still hasn't returned yet, but Lazio looked good. Soon someone silenced everyone through a loudspeaker. He greeted all the new students and rearranged himself as the vice president of the academy, Chan Long Xuanyang. He began his speech and said that in my opinion, they have all become strong, therefore the future Changlong Academy will witness their rise. And now he invites some of the best new students to come on stage and receive a diploma. Chanlo. Then Lin Xiao asked what is a letter. Anlon Sinchen replied that it is a gift from the academy to the best student. This is a student card for all activities in the academy, also a room for storage tools, which is very useful. Then he showed his gift to Chanilai. Lin Xiao didn't even expect that Sin Chan was a fat guy who was once the top freshman and said that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. After hearing Lin Xian's words, resentment oncho, he asked Xian Xiao was not a good lazy person, avoided it and said that it was a compliment. Soon after, Chia Wu was named the best freshman of the first class. Hearing Chia Wu's speech, the lazy people thought that he really was a master of speech, for the best student was Yang, and from class 2 the lazy person did not expect that Ian will be chosen as the best student because his performance in the second test was so low, and he thought it was very suspicious. Then Lindsay, he was finally named the best student in the class. The system also gave 3 options to choose from. First option, speak normally and modestly. To get recognition. Option 2, speak smugly and make it clear to everyone in the academy who is the boss. And option 3, speak with positive energy and touching everyone with true feelings. Seeing that as a bonus, there is a bonus of lazy person's charisma, thought that this is what will make him even more popular. Therefore, he should have chosen the first option, but this time he wanted to become a bright star and get a good shot. So he chose the third option, showing the order he received. He said that it was a great honor for him to receive this award, but he did not feel that he deserved it. Who knew that Zhao's laziness was useless? What he was talking about at that time. In Lente then said that he was just a stinking worthless person with low strength. But even so, the academy gave this award and he felt that it was the majesty of the Chanlan Academy, so he thanked those who accepted him into the academy. And they all, hearing the lazy person's speech, made Chiava think. Not he, or misunderstood Len Xiao and got angry because the lazy guy attracted everyone's attention. However, after the system awarded him 5 charisma points for his work, Lindsay, he began to smile and said that the whole speech just now was a lie, and then insulted everyone here by calling everyone garbage. Everyone who witnessed this was also there, and Shamlin Lindsay continued to warm them all up to beat him. He thought that in this way he could sharpen his muscles and bones since today's ceremony was already over. Shan Yen drove Linsha away and asked the others to leave quietly, but the lazy man begged them all to beat him up. Together, other students began to surround him and were going to beat him. No Xian and Kufan stopped them and begged to forgive him, and the continuation of the full version of the video will be released on my Boost. I also have an exclusive retelling of other projects that will never appear on YouTube, so go to the description and subscribe to mine. Boost will here again. That's it for now.